Hello and welcome back to DriveDriverDriven. I'm Humble and we're back on the Blunicorn doing some more finishing touches. So last time we were working on our headlights and our headlight covers, and I've gotten those all sealed up now so we can take a look at the finished result. And then after that, I'm going to show you what I did with the hood latches in the front. And the last thing today is to get the carbon grille covers over our wheel vents. So these are the carbon covers that are new for the RS that go above each of the wheels, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So first up, let's take a look at our headlight covers and how those came out. So here's a shot of our driver's side. All that extra work cleaning paid off. No stray Kumo hairs in there. Got a nice sealed edge all the way around. And then likewise for the passenger side, nice sealed edge all the way around, nice clear. And you may notice that these are slightly smoked, just ever so slightly. I really like the way that looks. It does help, again, to hide some of our crimes underneath. Any little glue or anything, the sealant that kind of stuck out, which actually I don't see a lot of. And then likewise, I was worried about any of the adhesive showing up for the little grill that we put in, but with the smoked headlight lens, you can't really see it. It just hides everything. What I will say is that when you turn the car on, you can actually hear the headlight fans fairly loudly. I'm going to turn it on and you can hear for yourself. I'm not sure how well that's coming through on the camera. It's definitely louder when I have the hood open. But it basically sounds like a PC fan, because that's what there is. There's two of them, one down here and then one up in this area in the eyebrow. You can probably hear it a little bit better now. And again, there's a fan down here and then one up in this area. So just something to be conscious of. It's not good or bad. It's those fans help ventilate the headlight area to keep it from fogging, which was a problem with the Ultima headlights in the past, especially because if you're in wet weather or rainy weather, the wheels will just splash the back of the headlight area with water. So water and moisture intrusion was always a thing. While we have the hood open, let's talk about our hood latches. So originally I wanted to use like an arrow catch, like somewhere in this area, or I thought about using it in this area here, kind of down in the swoop. But I didn't really like the angle at which you would have to mount the plate, and then how it would meet the pin in this area. And then likewise, if I was going to put an arrow catch here on the side, trying to get into this area to fasten the pin is a real pain, just because of its proximity to the wheel vent area here. There's not really a good way to get into that behind this access panel. So I decided that for the most part, the issue with the nose is that it always tries to lift, not being forced closed. It just wants to come up. I decided to stick with the factory Ultima latches, but I actually have these installed backwards. They're flipped. So this is actually the passenger side latch, and then likewise passenger has the opposite. And the reason I did that is because this release lever will now pull outward. And I intend to put a loop or a cable on this and then just pull it out, so it's just quick access to pull that and get it out of the way. And the whole idea is that it's something that's easily accessible that might stick out of the outside of the car that'll serve the same purpose as an aero catch, just quick access, quickly open the car, that sort of thing. You can also see there's a little bit of a rub mark there. The witness area here, I just need to sand that down a little bit, and that should clearance. Again, things didn't go back together perfectly. There was a little bit of a movement when putting the center tub on from our fitment, but otherwise, with the hood latch down, all our shut lines are good. Other finishing touches is I have our carbon fiber access panels in. I've drilled all the holes. It's just a really easy job. Just put the plate in place and then just use these holes to template. However, I ran out of M5 riv nuts to hold this in, so I just have a couple in there for now, so it'll be good to go when I do a test drive. And I'm waiting for more M5 riv nuts to show up. Speaking of test drive, before I can do that, I need to get the mirrors installed. Originally, I had these mirrors on the first generation Blunicorn. These are a carbon convex lens that is typically used for like an open top or an open cab vehicle, and you would put this on the dash. However, placing them here on the center tub, it gives you a really good view here into the side of the car and in the blind spot, effectively removing blind spots from the car. Because by the time any car gets to about the back side of the door, you should have been able to see behind your tire, but you can also just turn your head and catch the nose of the car out of your peripheral vision, being that it's right next to you. Likewise, for the passenger side, you get the same kind of great view because it's a convex mirror down the side of the car and out the back. The one thing I did change is I pulled this mirror location back towards the driver a little bit. Previously, it would have been about here, up in this area. That worked really well, except that it put the mirror right in my sight line going around left-hand corners. And so I'm hoping that by pulling it back, I'm pulling it out of my sight line for like long left-handers. I've got the mirrors basically where I want them. They're just held on with some tape right now. What I have to do is figure out a better way to mount these. Basically, I want this flat edge to line up with this flat edge here so that it's visually appeasing. And then we'll have to turn the mirrors to suit. But what I want to do is make sure that this length and this length are the same on both sides. And then we'll mark these up and drill. Alright, so we've got our mirrors installed and got our covers back in. Struggled a little bit because I kept trying to align the wrong surface, so I had the wrong, basically, end of the triangle pointed in the wrong direction. What I was trying to do is, if you notice this tube has kind of an arrow profile to it. It's an oval shape, and it needed to go this way. And I kept screwing up and putting it the wrong direction. And I was looking at like what direction the mirror was facing versus the tube. But I finally got it sorted out. So both of those are done now. I want to drive it and see how this position for the driver's side mirror specifically works out. But in the profile, you can see it kind of it doesn't really line up with the edge of the body. It's inset a little bit. And hopefully the view gives enough of the blind spot. I just sat in the car and took a look. And from our seating position, if I pan over, looking at the mirror there, it's kind of hard to see. It doesn't show up as well as I thought, but you get a nice view down the side of the car and out to the rear three-quarter view. Likewise, well, you can just see me leaning over the car and the door, but on the driver's side, without the door in the way, the view comes kind of down the side, and you see more of that. Basically, it's about like this. So, onto the last bit for today. We're going to install our carbon covers for our wheel vents. This is the upper wheel vent, the aero vents. These are new on the RS. You can option these in either body color or carbon, and I opted for the carbon pieces. So let me pull that out and we can take a look at it. So I've shown these before, I think when I first unpacked it. These are, again, as I said, in carbon or body color and fiberglass. I opted for the carbon, as you can see. The carbon work itself is amazing. Like the factory does such an awesome job on these. One job that I kind of skipped, just it's pretty tedious but not difficult, is trimming all this hexagonal mesh. You have to cut it to shape and then bond it into place. You can see how I've put some bond and seal up on the lip and then down here to catch the edge. And it's basically just like how I did my finger. You lay a bead down first on the inside and down below, press the mesh gently into place, and then just smooth out that sealant with your finger. Just run it across, and then again at the bottom, and then look for any excess that might be poking through here. If you lay just a kind of a smallish bead, you can get away with it, and it won't bleed through or it won't come through, and it'll do a good job capturing the mesh down here on the back side. Now, as far as putting these in place, again, they just bond into the panel with the bond-in seal. And what I would suggest and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some tape and just tape out the edge here on the body, and then do the same for our carbon covers. And then when I lay down sealant on this edge here, I'll give this a good clean because it's definitely a bit dusty. You can also scuff this if you choose. I haven't found that it's necessary, but just having a simply clean surface will do you good. Likewise, for the underside of these panels, give these a good wipe with like an alcohol wipe or something like that, just to remove any debris and get them prepped for the bonding. But you'll lay down a bead on the flange there, flip this over, and then you'll just press it into place on the body. And then what I suggest is putting something heavy on it afterwards to make sure it's pushed down into the flange and to hold it down while that sealant cures. So first things first, let's get some tape around the edges here and our carbon covers, and we'll get that started. fast forward after the time lapse a bit, and I've got a little more tape on these. You saw me lay down the adhesive and smooth it out through the gaps with my finger. And then what I wanted to do after that is add some weight if it needed it, or just add a little more pressure just by using some tape to hold it down and into place. One thing I didn't point out in the video earlier is I added these kind of hash marks just to help align the panel better. So when you stick it down, you can make sure that it's set just right inside of the hole. So I've got, as you can see, all the grills in place now, all the fender vents. This one, the driver's side, was the only one that I found really needed some extra weight. It would just spring up a little bit. Not sure why that is, but I just got a jug of oil sitting on there to hold that down on top of the tape to, you know, secure the corners down. But otherwise, everything went through smoothly. Got all those in place, got them glued up, and yeah, these are going to look fantastic once they're all set up and we get all the tape removed. I think that's going to do it for today. Just a couple projects. We really are at the end, and just a couple more things left before we can actually get it on the road. Mostly it's going to wait for these vents to dry, and a couple things on the interior, still sorting out the AC issue. Mostly it's just we'll call it a digital electrical problem, as far as like when the circuit turns on and when the circuit it's on is given power or not. So still sorting out some electrical stuff, but otherwise I think we're just about ready to get this car on the street for the first time since it caught fire. That's not going to be the end, spoiler alert, but the whole car does have to come apart again. I mentioned before that there is a bit of an oil problem, but I do want to just get it on the street, get it driven, before it all has to come back apart again to address some of the other issues in the back. So the oil, the exhaust, etc. And we'll get to those in a future video. But for now, I think that's going to do it, and I'll see you guys next time.